chat.
Oh,
Hello, everybody. It's the Pearlo Wisdom Show, the NHL Pearlo Wisdom Show. Having trouble getting, of course, always, as always. uh, no, I can't see anything on my chat.
no, still no chat on the Streamlabs?
Oh, you know what? You know what? Do I have it on the wrong channel?
No, no, it's on Pearlo.
Have I? It
Yeah,
is. It's on
yeah,
my
I see it.
channel. Okay, restart. Okay, no. Huh. You can see it on my thing. We're live
Yeah,
now. Uh,
yeah, I can see
that
it.
is weird. Because when I try to pop up chat, it comes up on a different channel.
That is weird.
I have a feeling I did this on the wrong channel. I have a feeling.
It does say it's on Pearlo.
No, but my name is up there. Yeah, my name is up there. Okay, whoever's out there, I can't see who's chatting. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that now. Um, there we go. Now I'm here.
Perfect.
Okay, nobody's in the chat right now. Doesn't look like.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So here we are. I'll just
Oh,
use my phone so I can see who's chatting. All right. So let's just get right into it. Pretty much. The Leafs game last night. Um, Montreal really didn't deserve to win that game, did they?
man,
I mean, they played okay, but
I don't know. That it was when I watched little bits of it, like especially in that third period. My lord, did the Leafs ever come out to play in that third period? They were so dominant. But I give it to the Canadians. They didn't play the worst game in the world. They did a good job at getting some good scoring chances, especially Armia out there getting a couple
mm,
goals for that team. I mean that fourth line is, being pretty productive for the Montreal Canadiens over this past game, and even analytically, surprisingly, Eric Gustin was the best analytic player off the Montreal Canadiens last night, but he only played about 10 minutes of ice time, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. But, I think Toronto played a really good game, especially their all-stars in Marner, Hyman, and Matthews. They were absolutely, lining up the net up. They were looking for goals, they were looking for chances. Matthews was banging the body a lot. Hyman was buzzing. They came back. Mazza got two big goals, and then it was a horrible giveaway by Galchenyuk to hand it right to Cole
yeah, that was
Caulfield and
terrible.
Suzuki. That was probably one of the worst turnovers you could ever have as a player. It was like Galchenyuk was playing for Montreal again and handed it right to Cole Caulfield and set up Nick Suzuki for a beautiful goal there on Campbell. But Campbell has to recognize that, A, this is a 2-on-0. It's not just Caulfield's going to be shooting this one. He might be making a pass. Be prepared for that. And Campbell was looking like he was ready to see a Caulfield shot and got caught off guard. And John, I do kind of agree with you. Campbell did have a bit of a rough night, but I mean, that's what you're expecting. Campbell's never played, this amount of games and, dealing with this kind of playoff atmosphere before. So I think he's done great. I think Jack Campbell's been a real good goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but this game, Carey Price was just way better up until the third period where Price started letting some in. But even then, Price was on a whole nother level again. For some reason, he seems to turn it up once we get into the playoffs.
You look young without the beard, there. JP says. Yeah, where's the stash, man?
Me, the stash? Oh, I shaved that off.
Oh, because
Yeah,
Edmonton's out. Uh,
I shaved it all off. I was like, yeah. I was like, once the Oilers got eliminated, I just shaved it off. Actually, even before the game, I shaved it off. I'm like, I'm no way the Oilers are going to be coming back from a 3-0 deficit. So once that happens, I just shaved it.
yeah, I mean, Price did have a good game last night, which is fortunate for Montreal because that's essential for them to even have a chance. But Campbell is a weak link in Toronto as far as if moving forward in the playoffs, if they, when they happen to beat Montreal or what have you. Um, he's good, but like there's a question mark, like you said, about his playoff experience and all of that sort of thing. So, um, you know, going up against Winnipeg, Winnipeg certainly has the advantage in goal if they happen to play Winnipeg.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'll just let you know, Pearlo, as well. I do notice that my name tag is under yours, and then yours is under mine.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll change
um,
that.
but yeah, Hellebuck's going to be one tough goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs to go up against. But with how well Toronto's played against Winnipeg or against Montreal, I think they'll do the same against Winnipeg. And now I might be underestimating them because, I mean, they beat the Oilers, and every single night the Winnipeg Jets probably had the worst analytics throughout most of those games. But for game two, the Oilers deserve to win every single one of those games. But, that's the way that it goes. And if Winnipeg, I guess plays the type of game against the Leafs is what they did against the Oilers and just clutch and grab all the time. I'm not saying that, that's not a bad game plan. It worked. The refs weren't calling anything. It was a very, very quiet series throughout, that entire series. There wasn't a lot of penalties being called, especially on McDavid. I don't think there was one minor called against on McDavid, which was crazy that there was nothing. There was tons of hooks on McDavid, but none of them got called throughout that entire series, which was very surprising. But if Winnipeg plays that type of dirty style of game, they could potentially beat out the Toronto Maple Leafs just because of the fact that we don't know how good Jack Hamill's going to be, and if he's going to be able to carry the Toronto Maple Leafs from this first round series against the Canadiens, which is going to be a very tough game going into Game 6, especially having to deal with some fans back in the stands there in Montreal. So it's going to be a little bit of a different atmosphere, especially for that Canadiens team looking to push it to a Game 7. So it's going to be a very tough one. Also, Bill, hey, how's it going, bud? And do I think Mike Smith will stay in Edmonton and be the starter in the next season, or do you think he'll walk out the door? No. Ken Holland said that Mike Smith is going to be coming back next season, which is unfortunate because I don't want to bet all my money on a almost 40-year-old goalie. Um,
Yeah, but what is he going to be a number one though? We don't know
I
that
don't
yet.
think I think it's gonna almost have to be like a 1A, 1B type of situation where you're gonna have to have a tandem. There has to be, you have to have two goalies that are fully able to play about 40 games a year because you cannot play Mike Smith 70 to 60 games in a year. You can't risk that. So you have to go after somebody that can play, you know, maybe even more games than Mike Smith because I just don't feel like Mike Smith is going to be able to do what he did once again. I could totally be wrong, and Mike Smith can prove me wrong, but I don't know, man. Mike Smith has had a terrific year analytically. He's looked really good, but he only went up by a 90.3 save percentage analytically to a 92.7, which is a huge jump, and he jumped up analytically. But you know how well is he going to do continuing? I don't know. Um, I just I wish we would try to go after some, actual proper fix in our goaltending because, flip it around and saying that, Mike Smith deserves to stay here. I understand that. He had a great year. I love that he gave us a great year, but will he be able to do it again as an older goalie? And you take a look at history, there's only a couple times that goalies been able to do this. Dwayne
He's going to be
Rolson, I
he's going
think
to be 40, 40
Dwayne
years old.
Rolson was one of the times that I remember a goalie actually doing good, but even then he struggled. And same with Brodeur. Once he got up to 40, he struggled, you know? So Mike Smith has looked, very good this season, but how will he do in another year where we're playing another 82 games and then maybe more in the playoffs? So I don't know. It's a bet. I hope we don't pay him too much because I'm hoping to pay him around $1 to $1.5 million again because you can't pay him at like $3 4 million or anything else. More than that, I think you got to pay him at 1.5 million. But Mike Smith, you know, I guess he deserves to stay from what Holland's saying. But the only thing I really like about him is his puck movement. I think that's one of the only things I really enjoy about Mike Smith. And I mean, he had a terrific season this year, so I love it. And please don't go after Mrazek. No,
Jeez,
no.
God, like Corpusalo or Mrazek, if that's what they come up with, uh, uh, no, definitely
Dude,
not.
I rather keep Koskinen over Korpisalo. I don't care how young Korpisalo is, but Koskinen would be better than Korpisalo.
Did somebody say Corpusalo? Oh my gosh, no, I did. Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
you did.
absolutely. Corpusalo is a no, 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 no,
You
no.
can't go
He's
after
an
Korpisalo.
AHL
If you
goaltender, no
think
way.
buying out Mikko Koskinen is a smart idea to go after Korpisalo, it's dumb. It is dumb. I
I would say like, I would say Bernier if you can do it, or like we talked about Gorgiev. That would be better. Like, I don't know. That's the thing is there's not really all that much out there you can go grab. You can't get quick isn't an answer. Uh, I know Gibson's been screaming to get out of Anaheim. That would be freaking awesome,
yeah, but
right
the
there.
thing is, we have Ken Holland. The trades that he's done over his career, not I sort of like Ken Holland at some moments of time. I kind of have a sort of belief that he could change this team around. But looking at his trade history, I don't think there's really been a stellar move where I could say like, oh yeah, I could see this move happening where we could go after John Gibson. He's always been develop and not make big moves and not big.
But we don't have time to develop in the net. We don't have it.
No,
Skinner's not the
but
answer.
doing these short little
So
fixes, picking up Corpusalo and keeping
you
Mike
said
Smith for a
Hudobin.
year
Who?
and doing all these fixes is not going to fix the
Yeah.
team. We got to go out there and find someone that could be an actual solution to go with. And what about
Yeah.
Kadubin? No, I
Hudobin.
don't
I mean,
think.
I better than Corpusalo
I
or
think it would be
Mrazek.
almost a better
I would
bet than
definitely.
Smith because he's a bit younger than Smith, but even then, that's not a long-term Smith fix. Yeah, I don't think it's a good
No, it would
idea.
be a 1A 1B. It would be a 1A 1B again.
Can be bad at some moments of
That's what
time,
you'd
but
have.
trade him for Corpusalo is a bad idea. Well, not trade him for Corpusalo, kind of buying him out and then picking up Corpusalo. I don't know if that would happen, but I've been hearing Holland's gonna buy out two players, not two players, but maybe one of the players, either Koskinen or Neil. Not bring over a Russian
Why?
goalie. We do have a Russian goalie, Eliav Novalov.
Yeah, that's who we're waiting. That's who we're waiting
That
for.
is who we're waiting
That
for. He looks very
yeah.
exciting. I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
He actually
That's why
signed,
I
I
say
think.
it's probably will be a veteran in the vein of Bernier or something like that, and then play like Smith and him 50% of the time so they don't burn him out, and then go with you gotta then go with Bernier in the finals. I just think Smith, even at 50-50 at 40 years old, is not a guy you want to be putting in the playoffs.
No, that's what
You
I'm
just can't.
also kind of like hoping that Stuart Skinner takes a huge jump up this season because him, look at his stats. I mean, Stuart Skinner, I think he was phenomenal in the AHL this year. Even more phenomenal going into the playoffs this season for Bakersfield. We're actually going pretty deep there for Bakersfield. But this year he had a 914, 238 goals against average. He was 20-9 for the Bakersfield Condors. He's been amazing for the team, and I think he has like almost a 928 in the playoffs as well. So it's been great to see that maybe we have Stuart Skinner coming up the pipeline, and especially getting a little bit of that NHL experience as well. I think that did him wonders to help him develop a little bit and have. I think he had a month where he went like a 930, going like 6-1 throughout that month. He's been insane there in the AHL since going back down.
It's all about who's going to come too, right? Like you can say all these names. Oh, then I mean maybe Allmark decides he doesn't want to be in Buffalo anymore, like everybody else. I would do that. Allmark's a free agent.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad bet.
He's younger. I like his analytics are great. I don't think he was anywhere near the problem in Buffalo. In fact, when he was in, they weren't a bad team. That would be the guy I really would probably first try to look at.
Yeah,
And he should like the idea that there's really, Skinner's a little bit away probably. Smith is not going to be the guy for long, so he doesn't have anybody in Edmonton that's really pushing him too hard. He's pretty solid in his number one ability. He can play a lot of games. Yeah, I like that.
I like
Allmark.
Allmark.
Allmark would be my
I,
guy.
I, I was I when I did mine, I did Gorgiev, because you could probably get Gorgiev for real cheap too. But the problem is, I think you got to do a free agent signing because I don't think Holland's going to trade away any picks. So I do really like your Allmark idea because he is an unrestricted free agent this year, and
Yeah,
most likely
yeah.
he's been playing in Buffalo for a long time, and he's been carrying that Buffalo team for a while.
Oh yeah,
So in his
absolutely.
analytics, you are damn right. He jumped up massively analytically this year. Now he has had, some injury problems, but even then, that's not too big of a concern. I guess maybe a little bit, but even then, 2 years in a row, solid 30 games. This year, he only played about 20. But I think, 917 this year, year before that, 915. I think you could totally bring in Olmark, and he could be a very solid goalie for the Edmonton Oilers, and you could probably pick him up for relatively cheap as well, and do a tandem between him and Mike Smith. I think that would be the
Hmm.
dream. Not the dream Smith as my backup, but I guess the sort of dream.
Yeah, that would
Bring
be
Mark
like the
Messier.
best case scenario with what's what's out there right now.
Oh
I
yeah.
would say, Allmark would be the best
Oh
case
yeah.
scenario. And it just feels like something that Holland might actually do too.
Well,
So
didn't
um,
uh didn't uh he pick up Jonathan Bernier, or was that Iserman?
no,
That
that
was
was
him?
him. He's the one that took Bernier. Yeah, I mean, if Eiserman's not going to keep rolling with Bernier, which it appears that he is, or he probably would have traded him at the deadline. That's an option. I mean, he's been stopping pucks in Detroit now for the last 2 years. 2 years ago, I think he was one of the best goaltenders in the league. That's a guy who can stop pucks. Like we need a guy that that can stop a lot of pucks because the Oilers are never going to play a game where where you're limiting shots too much. They're always going to be playing a high power game. That's the way the Oilers are. That's the way it is. So you need guys that can
See, I wouldn't
stop
mind
pucks a
signing
lot.
Bernier for like a 1 to 2 year deal. I don't think that would be a bad goalie. Same with Olmark, That's the thing with goalies. I think that's the biggest thing Holland has to do, and that's why I'm glad we didn't get Markstrom, is that you got to stay away from long-term contracts on goalies because most of the time goalies are voodoo. You hand them a big time contract, it gets in their minds, just like how it did with Bobrovsky and Markstrom, and I mean a little bit on Price. He's a horrible regular season guy, but once he gets in the playoffs, that $10 million, he's like, all right, I'm gonna start being worthy for that $10 million. It's so funny. Also, how it's also hilarious how Canadians fans love Carey Price, even though he's a junk during the regular season, and everyone's bashing him during the regular season. And then once they get to the playoffs, all the Canadians fans are like, see, Carey Price is back at his normal form. He's good now. And I'm like, just because a couple good playoff games?
Yeah, yeah. His consistency has just not been there. Let's face it. Carey Price's consistency is not. It could happen, but it's getting to the point now where can you really think that that's going to happen? Uh, you know what I mean? Like that's where it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of got there. He's got to really prove it for a while before we can say, okay, he's back. One game last night or something like that. So the question was, does Toronto finish it in Montreal? Um, I'm I'm not as confident as I was, but I still
Oh
think
yeah,
they
I
do.
still think they do.
I still
They
think they
just
do.
they had a 59.3% chance on the deserve to win meter. They did deserve to win that game a pretty good amount, especially with the comeback that they made in that ending of the game. But it goes on to game 6 now, and I have a feeling like the Maple Leafs will be able to finish it off in game 6. They didn't play the worst game in the world. They just need to come together as a group and pull it together for one last game and push themselves on to, the second round to go up against the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Jets game series is going to be pretty intense. So let's okay. So that game, since we talked about it an awful lot already, it was there was only one person I believe Devondre had the Habs 3-2.
Devondra.
Devondre nailed it. That was it. Was that the score? No, it
It
was
was
4-3. It was
4-3 in
4-3.
overtime
Yeah,
for Montreal.
but he had the Habs. Devondre had the Habs. The only one that had the Habs last night. So
Yeah,
or yesterday.
it chose Toronto.
Right. I guess we better. We'll go to the Carolina Nashville series. Nashville out, and what I was saying, what we were saying all along is you can't play the box in the D like you're on the penalty kill for a series and win it. It's yeah, you know, it's
And
just
rely on Saros to save everything.
yeah. We'll get
Yeah.
into the Bruins can beat the Islanders in a second, but
Mm-hmm.
the question really about that game was, yeah, it was you can make it close constantly and make it hard on your opponent, but in the end, what's going to happen is what's going to happen, especially when you go against a high possession team like Carolina that's patient, waits for its spots. The thing I am concerned about, as I was before the playoffs started and throughout the year actually, is Nedeljkovic. Not that I don't think he's a great goaltender for his age, but he is his age, and he's shown his age. It seems he showed his age a bit. He looks like he's a little bit on the overwhelmed side by being in the playoffs.
Um. Yeah, but I mean, he still did, kind of got overwhelmed for sure, but he hunkered it down when it needed to be hunkered down. Once, they calmed down after that second half of that second period, they calmed down a little bit and they started hunkering in. They made sure that they played good in front of their goalie because they were being outshot in the first two periods. The Carolina Hurricanes weren't necessarily playing the greatest game right off the get-go, right? So, Nashville was, pushing the tempo. They were playing not that bad of a game. So I understand, and he is young. Nedeljkovic is a very young goalie, but I like when young goalies step into the playoffs because it usually is where it's where they shine a lot. We've seen it with Matt Murray and we've seen it with Binnington. It's usually where you find your starting goalie or a new guy arises. And Nedeljkovic is looking like he's going to be that guy. But the biggest thing for Nedeljkovic now is that he has to go up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And will he be able to stop constantly Kucherov and Point and Stamkos? But I think also the biggest thing is that defensive core is huge, and they have to play huge against Tampa Bay if they want Nedeljkovic to be successful.
Yeah, well, that's they got to yeah they're out, and they Tampa's got Vasilevsky right off the bat. So,
Hmm.
you're looking across against a legend already, a guy who's not even that old, and he's already a legend. He's the best goaltender in the league, and that's in Nedeljkovic's head as he goes into the series.
Hmm.
Is that I'm going to compete against the best goalie in the league at the moment at the position I play. It's a little different than Saros, although Saros had a really great year. But before this, he hadn't built up a reputation like Vasilevsky
No, me
did.
and you were
So
kind of
it's
bashing Saros at the start of the season. We're like, I don't know, Nashville, what you're doing here. You're going with Saros and Pekka Rinne, and Saros wasn't too good. We don't know. But
yeah. So I guess that leads us to another interesting topic about Nashville and where does Nashville go from here now? That's the big question.
I,
That
they're
is
not
a
making it to the
I
playoffs
don't.
next year. I'm sorry,
Well, it's not likely.
you're going back into the Central Division where it was stacked, and it's probably most likely going to be stacked again, and you're not going to be able to make it to the playoffs. So, they got some great developing players in that team with Tullavainen. You know, you give it to them. They had a good playoffs as well. They pushed, the Hurricanes more than what I expected them to push. They had a lot of players from, underneath their roster do very good, but there was a lot of players that didn't do very well. Players like Duchesne who had 3 points in 6 games. The team wasn't very point productive. Same with Ryan Johansson. I don't even really see him up here either. Oh no, he had
Well,
4 points.
yeah, he had a few points. It's getting to the point with Ryan Johansson that we have to say that he's not a number one center anymore. He's never going to be a number one center. And then Matt Duchesne, he's not even playing center now. He's playing wing. Um, they've got some they've got some players that can step up and play better next year. That 22-year-old Eli Tovinen, which was a first round pick at one time, and was looking good this year with 22 points in 40 games. It was his first real solid year in the NHL, and he could step up next year. Luke Cunnin probably had one of his best years of his career that they picked up from Minnesota, but Victor Arvidsson was injured a lot, and that's been the story of his career. He's probably not getting any better than he is. Philip Forsberg is like the lone offensive consistent threat there, which is really the problem in Nashville and has been for quite some time. And Poyle hasn't been able to correct it. He's made poor moves. Getting Matt Duchene was a poor move.
Well, let's face it, everything that they've really done so far the past couple of years have been some pretty poor moves. Johansson, his contract, now you're dealing with Duchesne, who had only 13 points in 34 games. Not the greatest season in the world for the Nashville Predators. I just don't see this team going up. Your defense is getting older. They're not getting any younger. You don't got a lot of prospects really coming up the pipeline there either. For
That's the
the
other thing
Nashville
too.
Predators, they're playing
Yeah,
Carrier as their top two guy alongside of Yossi, which I give it to him.
he
He
did
didn't have
well.
that bad of a
He did
season.
well.
He analytically he
No,
didn't do
he
that
did
bad,
well.
but he's not a top two guy. He is not a top two guy, and especially 58% even strength, 58% for defense. Not terrible, but it's mediocre. It's in the middle. It's not the worst. And he didn't do terrible in the last game against the Carolina Hurricanes analytically either. But they wanted Danto Fabro. He wasn't even really in the lineup very much. Oh, he played about 40
He was
games, but
injured a lot. He was injured a lot this year, and he's still young. I mean, he's a slow burn kind of guy. I don't mind Dante
defensively,
Fabro, and they'll use him a lot. Yeah, he's not going to
defensively
be an
he's great.
offensive. He was never going to be an overly offensive contributor. He was a
No,
late first round pick, and
but
even when he was drafted, they were never considered him an offensive guy.
I think the biggest thing that Nashville has to do is rebuild. I've been saying that for a while, but I think you got to rebuild because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reason why is you got Askarov on the way up. And honestly, I would not want to be wasting Askarov's years like they did with Pekka Rinne. And if they're gonna do that again and just kind of be that mediocre club with just, some solid players and then have another breakout year but they lose in the Stanley Cup Finals again, they gotta get some breakout talent. And the time to do it is now with Shane Wright and everyone coming up in these next couple of years
Yeah.
of drafts. It's gonna be some real strong drafts. And I think, Nashville just needs to kind of retool a bit. And and that's going to be hard because you're locked up on so many dumb contracts. It's like 2.0 is San Jose. But I mean, you can get rid of
Yeah.
Duchesne. He does have a no movement clause. Same with, you know, Ryan Johansson, but who wants those players at $8 million, right?
I don't know. Brian Johansson, there might be somebody out there because he's big. He's a two-way guy. There might be somebody out there that would give him a shot. But what kind of a return are you going to get
Well,
at that?
unless you're Jim Benning,
That's
that's the only player that I'm guessing that's going to pick up Ryan Johansson. But no,
yeah,
I don't think Ryan Johansson he's analytically a bomb. Like this year, he was so bad offensively, and not just that defensively. He's been going up a slight little bit. Like they're both 31% for both goals against and goals for, which is not the greatest year for Ryan Johansson. He's only really done good on the power play. So for me, it's going to be tough to trade away either or of those guys. Matt Duchene, I feel has the no. It's going to be tough. I mean, probably Matt Duchene would be a probably hot topic because he was a little bit down this season, but still his analytics are better than what Johansson were. But that $8 million contract is hard to swallow in Matt Duchene because he's not your first line center.
Yeah, he hasn't been putting up very good points. He seems to, everywhere he goes, the team starts losing. He has a reputation of being a whiner. There's a whole lot of stuff to with Matt Duchene that would be very difficult to trade. Um, but I mean, it's possible, and you could possibly think of like what Zito did in Florida when moving Matheson, and you look for guys that are veterans that have heart and all of that stuff like that, and see what you can do from there. But I agree with you. I think they got to really start looking towards a rebuild there. The problem is ownership probably doesn't like that idea. However, I don't think they're pretty fortunate in Nashville in that it seems like their fan base just likes going to games.
I
So they might be able to get away without being like a huge winning team
see the thing
and
is,
sell a rebuild.
see the thing is, I think they don't want to have a rebuild because of playoff revenue. They probably wanted to go further in
Yeah.
the playoffs so they could get more people in the place. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, oh yeah, it's a huge. I think it's a huge driver for most teams. Like they want that revenue from the tickets coming in, and if your team's rebuilding, that means you're taking a huge sacrifice for your team, and also the ownership and the value of that team as well is going to take a bit of a dip because not very many people are going to come to the games. I mean, look at Ottawa, right? Ottawa's, values completely dropped. I mean, it's going up now because of the fact that they got, new young players coming through that are looking exciting, especially this season for Ottawa. I mean, you look at other teams like Detroit. I mean, they're slowly building themselves up to be a slow empire here sooner or later as well. So to take that sacrifice, I think is needed. It sucks, but to make your team better and to potentially drive in more people into your stands, especially if you were able to pick up, Shane Wright or Matev Michkov or one of those guys coming up in the next couple of years, that would change your franchise and would bring in so much revenue. But the thing is, you're fighting up against 16 other teams for that lottery spot. And it's pretty hard to get, and it's pretty hard to get lucky. So, with taking a rebuild, it's a risk going both ways, I guess, if you want to keep the team together and try to sign more people onto the team, because Nashville really doesn't have the money to bring in any more people coming into this next year.
That's going to be the thing. If they don't want to rebuild, then they're going to have to go after free agents and try to do something with what they've got. There's not many. I looked at the free agent list. Most of the noteworthy free agents are probably going to be re-signed by their own teams. There isn't really many free agents out there. They don't like what trading pieces do they have? I'm with you on the rebuild. I have a scenario that may work to keep as many fans as you can in and hopefully speed up a rebuild quite a bit. Um, I would consider talking to Buffalo about Eichel. But the only problem is they're going to want your first rounders. So how do you rebuild around Eichel when you don't have first rounders to rebuild around Eichel? You
Hmm.
know, so that it's they're in a precarious spot. Let's put it that way. There's not too many answers. The good, I guess, the if you're looking at a positive thing, is you might have a goaltender that can have you make the playoffs a lot, and that's about all I can see. You got Josie and you have Ellis, which is great, but beyond that, they're not knocking it out of the park with defensemen either. Um,
Future wise, they don't
it's
got anyone either. Like their prospect is Askarov, Tomasino, and that is basically it for Nashville. They don't got a lot of, big name prospects. I guess you could add in Igor Afanasyev, who didn't do too bad there in the K, 6 points in
mhm.
16 games. But I mean, there's not a lot there in Nashville right now.
There's nothing screaming like they're ready to come in at the moment. Anderson to Edmonton. That's
Oh,
just too
Frederick, you're
risky,
talking
right?
about, I think.
Well,
CJ?
he said C.J. Anderson. Yeah.
I don't know who's CJ, but I'm thinking you're talking about either Craig Anderson or Frederick Anderson. So, Frederick Anderson, probably not.
Oh, Craig Anderson. You're talking about Craig Anderson? No, he's too old.
No, I wouldn't want Craig Anderson. Tomasino is really good. I do agree with you. Tomasino is going to be a real solid plug.
Tomasino. I forgot about Tomasino. I should have went and looked at that. Tomasino's ready. Yep. Yeah, that'll be one guy that'll be
But
coming
that's
up
the
for
only.
sure. For
That's
sure.
he's a winger. He's another winger, and that's just another, probably top six, maybe first liner for the Nashville Predators. That's just gonna, I don't know, not be the biggest time producer, but Jarvis is better. Seth Jarvis is, I heard, was going to be really, really good. I heard a lot of good things about Seth Jarvis. I almost wish the Edmonton Oilers got him, but we did get Dylan Holloway instead, so I can't be complaining about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see how Dylan Holloway is, but he looks pretty beastly to me.
Mhm.
Okay, um,
Oh, also,
Frederick. Okay, Frederick Anderson. It's the injury thing. I mean, he
I don't
just
think
can't
Frederick
seem to
Anderson
not be
this year.
injured.
This year he's had a rough year. He's been injured a lot this year. He's not even playing in the playoffs this year. He's not even the number one. I think it'd be a risky move unless you get him at like $3 million for like a short-term contract. Sure,
1 year, one
but
year.
even then, there's better goalies out there than Frederick Anderson right now that would be more reliable than Anderson going into next season.
When Anderson was on the top of his game and he wasn't injured, he was really good. But it's just a big question mark of whether, because that injury just seems to be something that is not like some minor thing.
Mhm.
It's something that keeps on coming back, and they're not even saying what it is.
No.
Like specifically what it is, we don't even know what it is. So I suppose if you were gonna think about him, you would find out what it is pretty quick. But
Mm. Also, another note, the draft lottery is 5 days away from happening, so we're going to be seeing that next week.
yeah,
So that would be pretty
yeah.
exciting to see who wins the lottery, and we're going to be seeing Seattle Kraken for the first time. We're going to be seeing where they'll be ending up in this draft.
Let's look up the lottery here. Why not? We'll do. We'll do. Why don't we do a little bit of a draft on Tankathon?
Yeah, that's what I was exactly
Let's do
thinking
that.
too. I was great minds think alike.
Let's do a draft lottery simulator on Tankathon.
So Buffalo has the most odds there with 16.6, and then Anaheim's falling right behind it with 12.1. Seattle and New Jersey are tied for third with 10.3%. Then you got Columbus, Detroit, San Jose, LA, Vancouver, and Ottawa finishing up the top 10. Also, Arizona has forfeited that pick as well. So, um,
Yeah, they have that, and I don't really get what he said there. He said if they win, they're gonna redraw. What? They're gonna redraw that specific spot, or are they gonna redraw the whole draft again? Because that would
I think
suck.
it's like a
Just imagine
redraw.
if you were
It's a
like,
redraw, I think,
they're
of
gonna
that pick.
redraw the whole draft,
I think,
or just the pick, just the
and I
pick.
want to see, there might be a read on it. Hang on. Um, No, there's nothing too much on it, but I think if Arizona is selected in top two, there will be a redraw. So I think if they get selected in that top two, then it will just be a totally new, just like new lottery. I think the way that it's gonna go. That's if
Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cover up our Pearl Wisdom Show thing for a bit, and we're gonna go window capture this, and then we're gonna do an actual lottery.
perfect.
What? Let's do it. Okay. Um, Lottery. Can you see that now?
I think so.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm kind of covering it up, so I'll bring it over here. Okay, we're gonna do a simulated draft lottery, and then we're gonna talk about each team if it were to end up that way. Let's do that every show
Until the
until
draft lottery.
until the draft.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Okay. Let's. We should have been doing this already. This is a good
Well, we got
idea.
20 minutes before commercial
Okay.
break,
Okay.
so.
Here we got it. Here we got it. We got forfeited. So if it's forfeited, if Arizona's there, it doesn't count.
Hmm. Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Ottawa
What
wins.
the hell did Arizona? Wow, Arizona won
Uh,
the first time around.
Ottawa, yeah. So it didn't win, but Ottawa wins the lottery, and
Wow.
nothing else really changes after that.
What?
This would be absolutely
From them to
insane
jump from
if
ninth to
Ottawa won this
first.
lottery.
Wow. That is insane. Owen Power, I don't know if they would go after Owen Power. Their defense,
I think they would. Yeah.
I don't know because they got.
It,
I mean, they could use Owen Power. He could be a really strong defenseman for them, especially since they got mostly
he's
offensive, and he's 6'5". That could be like a Zdeno Chara almost 2.0 for Ottawa.
Yeah, like okay, I think if Ottawa win, Owen Power, I mean that defense would be insane. If Sanderson turns out the way they're talking, and then they've got Brandstrom and Shabbat and whoo, Owen Power, he's playing now on the Canadian team in the World
Yeah.
Championships against men, and from what I've seen of him, he
Oh
looks
yeah.
great. Like he looks really good. Offensively, he doesn't look like he's going to be like a top notch offensive guy. Think of like a bigger version of Ekblad or something like that.
Well, Ekblad's probably
Not
about the
too
same
shabby.
size, but he kind of reminds you of like a Zdeno Chara sort of deal, but like smaller.
Ekblad's not
I
6'5",
think
is he?
he's a big boy.
I don't. Uh, but I mean, let's say they okay. Otherwise, they can keep Stutzla on the wing, and I don't know if either one of these guys are going to be able to play next year. Honestly, probably even if they draft him, they may either. He may go back to college. Um, but Matthew Beniers, and well, by the way, they just
Hmm.
this is not even this is 25 days ago. Things have changed quite a bit too. I saw that Mason McTavish is all the way up past Beniers now. He had a killer World Junior
Wow,
Championships. He's been just flying this year. So
Mason
yeah.
McTavish, huh?
So if they were to take like a McTavish or Beniers, and Beniers reminds me of like a Foligno, McTavish, I don't know. I can't put my finger on what he would be like. But let's say they go with it. It is Beniers, like a Foligno type guy, and you've got him between on your second line as a second line center after Norris. I mean, that's a pretty. You're getting a super stacked lineup there.
Yeah, I mean, holy crow. Lauren, you don't like McTavish? Well, he's been ripping it up. I've been seeing even in Europe there. I think he's playing in the Swiss league and he's ripping it up there, especially goal scoring. Massive goal scorer there. I think he's not going to be in the top 10, but it's going to definitely be all over the place. And then Seattle, you know, this is a great draft to kind of step in for Seattle because, I mean, there's a lot of mystery and they probably had a lot of time to scout
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, they haven't had a season this year. But there's some pretty good damn prospects that they could start their franchise with, and Luke Hughes wouldn't be a bad idea.
Nick Hughes, yeah, I mean, so anyways, we'll go through it real quick and then we'll do one more sim and then we'll go from there. Uh, Anaheim, if they were to go with Owen Power, would definitely be over Beniers and after Beniers and the other guy here is Dylan Gunther. He's put up 2 points a game in the Western Hockey
Oh,
League.
Gunther's been insane.
So
That would be a great pickup for New Jersey, especially to play alongside of Hughes or Heischer.
Nico
Would be
Hischier, and they've got
fantastic.
that Swedish guy that from last year,
Oh,
Holtz,
Holtz, Alexander Holtz.
Alexander Holtz.
Oh my
He looks
Lord.
pretty
New
killer.
Jersey's going to be
If
insane.
if they get Gunther there, I have a feeling that Gunther's going to go higher than that. Goal scoring's at a premium right now. He can play. He reminds me a lot like Goudreau or somebody like that. Um, would
Mhm.
be great for them if they got Luke Hughes just because of the Hughes combination, right?
And also, that would be a huge pickup there for Columbus getting William Eklund. Either that or going after Ken Johnson or just any centerman in general, the Columbus Jackets need to go after. They need a centerman, especially for the
Oh
future
yeah,
of that squad. They
yeah.
got Foodie on the way, but they need a guaranteed number one centerman in that top 10 this year, and they can most likely find it.
Yeah, William Eklund has been ripping it up in Sweden. I think it's really hard to say who's going to be who in this draft. William Eklund has been ripping it
Hmm.
up in Sweden. Dylan Gunther's putting 2 points a game. I think he's lower simply because he's a winger. But I don't think if a team is looking for goal scoring, like say Anaheim, you never know. They may reach there uh, because they have Zegras already coming up and um, who is it? What's the other one? They have another guy coming up. Oh, they got Perot last year is putting up big numbers.
Yeah.
Um, and then this Simon Edvinson, which would Buffalo would be in the spot to grab. he is one of those guys that, like, if you, a lot of people are always going to be, a lot of players like this are going to compare to Slavin because he's that type of guy. He's not going to put huge numbers up, but he's just a beast defensively. He never seems to make a mistake. He's always in the right position, and his offensive, he's so smart. He has such a high IQ. His offense could come, and if it does, he could just surprise everybody and be the best player in the draft. So,
That actually might not be a bad idea to move or to go after Simon Edmonton either, because he's played for Frölunda, which is the same team Dahlin played for as well back in the SHL. So going after Simon Edmonton wouldn't be a bad idea for the Buffalo Sabres, especially since they need some upgrades on that
yeah,
defense. They really badly do,
especially
and
that
Simon
type of
Edmonton would
guy.
help.
That type of guy who
Hmm.
can play, can calm things down in the defensive zone and all that kind of stuff like that. He would be great for
Yeah.
Dahlin. So, and he's big. He's big. He plays tough. He plays so nice. Let's go sim the lottery one more time, and then we'll go on to other things. Oh my gosh, that would be Philadelphia Flyers fly up
Wow.
15.
What? What the hell
That could
is
be a
this?
that could be a freaking life changer for them, man. If they could get Owen Power for that defense, holy crap! Yeah, that can happen this year because next year is going to be the year where they switch all the it around, where player teams down in the bottom there don't really have a chance. So, well, there you go,
Wow.
Owen Power, and everything else would pretty much stay the same, except
Yeah.
Seattle would be a little higher there. They could take Luke Hughes. Um,
They were in that same spot. The only team that changed is Ottawa. They moved back to 11th. So everything else has basically stayed the same, except for what Philly moving up.
Another guy that's been moving up really fast is Chad Lucius. Chaz Lucius. He's been moving up. Not more than a month ago, he was like just barely in the first round, and he keeps on moving up, moving up, moving up. So watch out for a guy like that. Seems like a guy that
So that's the thing.
Columbus would
So
go
that's the
for.
thing that I noticed so much with this draft, especially taking a look at prospects for the 2021. Like looking at Chaz Lucius right now, some people have him at 25, some people have him in the top
Mm-hmm.
10, some people have him in the middle of the pack. Like this draft is going to be so weird to
Yep.
watch because it's legit going to be unpredictable. You're going to be thinking this guy will probably go in the top 10, and then he probably won't. He'll probably go around 20th. You'll see some guy go from 20th all the way maybe in the top 10, right? I mean, you're probably going to see some really insane stuff in this upcoming draft just because of the fact that a lot of people weren't able to scout, you weren't able to see these people or these players in person, and it's difficult. It was a difficult season. A lot of these prospects couldn't play a lot of games either, so it's going to be. And A2 Ratu did drop
Yeah.
hard. I remember when he was talked about a lot, and now I barely hear anything about him.
Yeah, he hasn't had a great year, and it was questionable at the time. I was already hearing question marks about him. He's got all the skill in the world. It's his um, commitment and stuff like that. He's got those kind of issues. So somebody will definitely
I think
take.
he can be a steal.
He could be a
He'll
steal
be a
because of that.
steal.
Yeah. He,
He most likely will be a steal because he didn't he's been a highly touted prospect. He's still, he's up near the 20s. He's around the 13 packs. Elite prospects have him at 20, but 6 points in 35 games there for the Liga this year. Definitely not the greatest year for him, and that's really all he's done this year. He hasn't played a lot of hockey either. He's probably only played about 40 games.
yeah.
So hasn't played a lot and hasn't really played any international hockey either. So
Hmm. We got
um,
Ottawa
we'll
winning
see how good
twice. Oh, imagine
see how
San
A2 Ratu
Jose
does.
needs that. Holy crap! If San Jose needs to move up so bad, if there's a team that I think San Jose needs to move up more than any other team. If they could get a Beniers, anybody on that roster that can change the fortunes of the San Jose Sharks. I feel sorry for the player because of the situation that they're in, but they desperately would need something like that. I have a feeling, and we'll see, because you never know with Stevie Y, but I have a feeling he's going to go with that goaltender from Sweden, Jesper Wallstedt.
Who, San Jose?
No, in Detroit. I have a feeling if he's there, he's going to go for that goaltender. He first of all, he loves Swedes. Second of all, they don't have any young.
And first of all, Yzerman has been known to choose goals in the
Yeah,
first round.
yeah. It seems like it's
Very known
got
to do
he's
it.
written all it's got he's got Detroit written all over him, that Jesper Wallstedt kid,
I
and
think you
he
got
looks
to.
fantastic.
Like, who do you got up the pipeline coming up here, goalies?
Nobody,
What, Patrick Rybar, or
no,
who Philip Larson going to be your next big goalie that you drafted 167? No, there's really no one there that could be a future goalie for the Detroit Red Wings. So also, John, good. Rasmus Sandin won't be in tomorrow. Good, because he was absolutely
yeah, he
horrible
was
in
a
that
dumpster
Montreal
fire. All
game.
right, that was hard to
He
watch.
gave it. I don't know what they were thinking. Travis Dermott, I heard, actually didn't have that bad of a game in the previous game, and then they just put in Sandin, and he had probably one of his worst games yet in his career. It was so bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think
But
it was hard to
Lauren,
watch. That was not cool.
oh yeah, it was. Lauren, Iserman did pick up Vasilevsky 16th overall in the draft. I don't doubt, or 19th overall. I would not doubt that he would go after a goalie, especially if he knows the team needs it. He would probably bet a lot, especially on Jesper Wallstedt. Jesper Wallstedt is a pretty good damn goalie,
Hmm.
especially from what we've been hearing. He is a really good goalie. So I would not doubt it. Like Jesper Wallstedt, even in some places, have him in the top 10. So
Yeah.
I would not
Well,
doubt it.
I've heard everywhere where he's pretty much in the top 10. Most people have him in the top 10. But we'll see what happens there. I was just pointing that out because they love their Swedes and they love their Europeans. And Stevie Eiserman, more than even Holland, it seems, drafts Europeans a lot, a lot, a lot.
Hmm.
Okay, well, we're going to get into tomorrow's games. We got a little bit before we go to our break. I thought we'd have fun doing that, though. I like that. We're going to do that every day. Well, we don't have too many days. Though the lottery is going to come up, and then we'll talk about it when the lottery actually comes. Um, but it should be some. It could be for San Jose Sharks. I think they need it more than anybody. It's just I feel sorry for the player that if they have to go to San Jose in that mess that they have there. Well, Buffalo too, I guess, but I think San Jose needs it more than anybody. All right, games. Well, there's only one game tonight.
Yeah, just the Vegas Minnesota game, game
Yeah,
7.
and we'll talk about that for a very long time, and we'll also talk about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Uh,
Because yeah, we got game 1, the Islanders Bruins coming up
you know,
as well on Saturday, and then the Leafs Canadians, which will be seen fans in the stands once again.
by the way, the score was 4-3 Canes, right?
Yes, 4-3
I
Canes.
was the closest. It was 4-2 Canes. CL had the Canes. JP had Nashville. Steele had Nashville. And Devondre had Nashville. And Mercer had the Canes. But 3-2 Canes, so that was pretty close as well. Um,
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not saying Iserman most likely will pick a player, especially if he has that 6th overall selection and there's still some pretty big name players. But if one of the teams ahead of him picked off one of the players that they were looking at and they had Jesper Wallstedt next up, I would not doubt that they would go after
it
Jesper
should be
Wallstedt.
time for Detroit to actually win a lottery in some way, too. They've had bad luck in lottery picks. Like, holy smokes. Every year they get knocked down to fourth. Like, I think that's what it was last year. Was it fourth? It was even lower than when they picked
Yeah, they picked Lucas
Lucas
Raymond that
Raymond.
year.
Yeah,
That was their 4th.
that was the fourth pick. Yeah,
Yeah.
they if they go up there in the Beniers, Power, God, they're probably not going to take the goaltender. But if they get knocked out again, like they always seem to do, I have a feeling they might reach for him.
Hmm. I feel like that as well. I mean, Jesper Wallstedt's a fantastic goalie, but I mean, there's some other great teams that could possibly use a goalie as well down there. Like you were saying, San Jose. Uh, I mean, you even got Chicago down there, which I'm pretty sure they would be looking at Jesper Wallstedt. Because I mean, Kevin Lankinen's been great, but if you could get a Jesper Wallstedt for your future of your team, that would be pretty damn
Yeah,
sick.
absolutely. Yeah, he's like a well, it seems to be that he's like Spencer Knight or any of these guys that we've seen come up. So, and we've seen what the importance of goaltending in this every year. We see it every year. We see it, and people
Hmm.
say, "Well, you can always get a goaltender." Really? Okay. Well, there's a lot of teams out there looking for a goaltender. So,
There is.
and what?
There's a lot of people looking out there for a goalie. Also the Rangers, I swear, if they win another
Oh,
lottery,
I
I
will
will
puke.
drive myself insane
I will throw
because
up all
they're
over my
16th
keyboard
overall.
for sure if they win a lottery for sure.
I freaked out last time on stream, and I would freak out again as they have 1.0% lottery odds this year. So if they win, it is definitely rigged.
That would be just stupid. It's just not right. Something's not right with the world. Not that I don't like the Rangers necessarily, but come on, you know, come on. Uh,
Oh yeah, also, no, before we move on, Detroit I think does have the Caps first as well this year. So they do have two first, and Sebastian Kosa is
yeah,
available. And he's another good goalie as
yeah,
well that Detroit could possibly look at as
yeah.
well. So maybe instead of picking it up with that six overall pick, they can wait until the next pick.
Yeah, but it's the Swedish factor. That's the reason why I'm thinking because they really love
No.
their Swedes there. They
Oh
love
yeah.
to build around Swedes, and the reason why that is the Swedish culture is very family orientated, and they're very close people. They're just like that, and that's great for building a team, right? You've got people that families that hang around with each other. They when they do that, they get a relationship with each other, and when it comes to contract time, all of a sudden, you know, to stay there, maybe they drop a million, million and a half to stay there. It's a very intelligent
Hmm.
thing to do, because in North America we tend to be a little more lone wolf. We tend to like to do our own thing and stuff like that. So, um,
Hmm.
however, there's when you like teams like St. Louis who picked a whole bunch of players from that Manitoba area there, Shen, Bozak, and they won a cup with them. There was a whole bunch of guys. They kind of grew up together. I can't remember who they all are. I think it was Shen, Bozak, maybe Schwartz. I don't know. Or Schwartz is American, isn't he? I don't know. But there was a bunch of.
No, Schwartz is
Is he
Canadian.
okay? Yeah, I think it was a whole bunch of guys from that area, three or four of them, and they made sure to pick them up. And Ottawa, you were bringing up when they picked up Sanderson. Also, they've got a bunch of guys from that area of Ontario. So that's a smart move for a team
Yeah.
like
No.
Ottawa to pick guys that are really close to each other because they may drop down their ask on salary purposes, and it's good for building a team.
Hmm.
Well, of
Yeah.
course,
Well,
not all
you know,
Swedes are like that.
I think for for the Ottawa Senators, they picked up all guys that played for the same university almost all at the same time. Jesper Wallstedt might be like that, but you know, thinking about it more, it would be not a bad idea for them to pick it up at six. And that's if they do drop, but they're only going to be dropping by picks, so they'll be picking around six,
Yeah,
seven, unless they win the
yeah.
lottery.
But they always
Um,
seem to
they'll either
surprise
go
you
with
too.
Jesper Wallstedt or they'll wait for Sebastian Kosa. But even then, Sebastian Kosa might be picked up earlier than that because Washington's pick is at 25. Kosa is expected to be around 21, maybe even
Right.
earlier. So
I should
we'll see how
probably.
that all goes for them.
K Swiss, welcome. I haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing, buddy? Uh, NHL Hockey News Reports, welcome, my friend. Yeah, wow's the wig. It's the last day of the wig, I believe. 28, 29, 30. That's it, right? This is the last day of the wig. So I made.
The 31st,
Oh,
Monday.
Monday. Okay,
They'll
Monday
have
will
to
be
wear
the
one
last day of the
star.
wig. Owen Power goes to the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, they can use anything right now, but that would be okay. So one next time, maybe when we're talking about this, we'll talk about teams possibly trading up there. But yeah, that never happens. But it's fun to talk about. It's too valuable to
Hmm.
have a guy that's going to be on a low contract for the next 3 or 4 years that what I mean. Like in this cap world, it's so valuable to have a top pick like that. It's pretty hard to to be able to nab something like that. What time we got?
It is.
2 o'clock. Okay, we're going to break now.
We.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the big game tonight, and then maybe we'll talk about some more about teams that just, or we'll talk about the series coming up, and then maybe we'll talk a little more about teams that are out and what they might do and stuff like that. Also, I have, if you go to the Steel Flyers channel, Steele and I did something on the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins and their exit strategies going into the summer. So that'll be pretty interesting. That'll be something to that's something to check out. You should check that out. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna go to our break, and we'll be right back with your picks and all that kind of fun stuff.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
All right. Okay, we're back. Um, and I think I got the right one. Media source off. Media source.
Get
Yep,
it
we're
right?
good to go. Okay. Um,
Perfect.
so the game tonight. I'm a little concerned for Vegas here now. Oh shoot! I forgot my phone's on. I can't see the chat without my phone. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm a little concerned for Vegas tonight. I have to say. They have some patch. There's a whole. It depends on who's going to play, but even if they do play, I don't know how they're going to be. There's a lot of Pacioretty's out. Is it McCann? What's his name? McCabe? Is it
Who,
McCabe?
Mikhailov?
McCabe, defenseman. Uh,
Oh, jeez.
Not
Why am I
McCann.
forgetting?
That's freaking Pittsburgh.
Which team are you talking
Vegas,
about?
Vegas,
Vegas?
Vegas, Vegas. McNabb.
McNabb?
McNabb is out. Krebs, which is a rookie, but they're going to be they don't have anybody to replace them. That's the problem. They're going to be short man tonight. I don't
Mhm.
know if they're going to be able to keep up with that Minnesota team. I've been on Vegas the whole way. Maybe now they'll win because I think I'm on Minnesota now after all of that.
I've been loving Minnesota. The resiliency last game, but I mean, I don't know. Vegas always seems to play pretty good in the game seven. I mean, they did the exact same thing against the Vancouver Canucks, right? Minnesota won game three. They pulled away with a big victory. Same with the Canucks. They pulled away with a big win in game six, and then Vegas just hunkered down and pulled away with the victory in game seven. And I love Minnesota, and I think they do believe. I picked them to win this series in seven. I don't know, man. Marc-Andre Fleury's been insane. Cam Talbot as well. I mean, I give him respect. This is you could flip a coin on this game on who's going to win the game. You could either have Vegas really play well and, perform well and go to their game plan and perform really well on it, or Minnesota could do the exact same and shut down the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, it's going to be a flip of a coin.
Yeah, like I said, I think that if Vegas can't get up early, they're in trouble because they're going to be short forward and possibly like they might even be playing with five defensemen. I just can't see them beating a Minnesota team with all their full guns going and the speed that they have, trying to keep up to them for a whole game. Unless Fleury just goes right off, and Fleury's been looking like he might be getting a little tired. There's another old goaltender situation we got going on, right? There was a lot of talk. People thought that maybe Lehner might play a little more, but never transpired, and they keep on going with him. Apparently,
Hmm.
his father and his 11-year-old son was told by security to take their jersey off at a Tampa Bay Lightning game. Did you hear about this?
Oh, yeah, I heard about
Is this
that.
a true
Yeah,
thing?
I
Is
heard
this a
about
thing?
that.
What, they were wearing a
Yeah,
Carolina
I didn't
jersey
see
or
the
what?
video, or they were wearing Florida Panthers jersey
Oh
at a
yeah,
Tampa Bay
Florida. I mean,
Lightning
yeah.
game, and yeah, so they were wearing Florida Panthers jerseys, and yeah, the some security guard told them to take off the jerseys. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I wasn't able to watch the full video, but um yeah, if you could send us a
You
link
can't
if you
send
can,
links
that'd
in
be
the
awesome.
chat though, so
Love
you're
to
gonna
see it.
have to send it in the
Oh,
comments in the bottom of the video after I post it. Either that, or you could send it to my last video that I did on my channel. You can send me it down there. But no, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Uh, I can't imagine it's a security guard doing that on their own without, or somebody telling security to do something like that. That's very weird. Uh,
it is.
but
It is very
but
weird.
you got to give it to this Minnesota team, man. They haven't given up. They believed in themselves. They've they've played different ways that I didn't expect them to play. That, like I said, the last
Hmm.
game they played a trap. They won't be playing a trap here. They're not going to be trapping them. They're going to try to burn these guys out, I think, tonight. I think this is a high-scoring game tonight.
You think so? You think this is going to be a high-scoring game between the Golden Knights
Yeah,
and
I think
the Wild
Minnesota's going to
tonight?
try to get their legs moving as much as possible to burn them out. If they're going to be short man like that, playing a trap would actually fall into the hands of Vegas. They want to get those legs moving a lot and out and have tired legs by the third. That's what I think.
So you're saying Minnesota's who has people out of the lineup? It's Vegas, right? That they're missing a couple people out of the lineup with McNabb and Ryan Reeves. I seen on the lineup. They were kind of game time decisions.
Yeah, Pacioretty, McNabb, Peyton Krebs, and there could have been one more there.
Yeah.
Steele's in the house. How you doing? Habs highlights. How are you, my
Oh.
friend? Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. I like what John says that all the time. Really appreciate it, John the goat. So, anyways, down in the chat, if you want, you can put your picks in for this game. I lost my pen. I may not be able to write it down because I lost my pen. Oh, we can also do picks for the weekend games too, can't we? Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. I don't think Scott Wedgwood is a good idea, or Halak for the Oilers.
Well, that's
Halak
too old. I think it's
was
over. It's done. It's all done.
this year, and Scott Wedgwood is he was in New Jersey as well. I wouldn't go after those guys. Those guys would be like more like backups when you have like a Vasilevsky or someone that is a dedicated starter instead of Mike Smith being relied on. I think that'd be a pretty bad
Yeah.
plan.
I gotta find a pen. I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, I think this Minnesota, I really would like to believe the Minnesota Wild are going to win this because my bracket is so broken right now after, having the Islanders win. My bracket is practically screwed. Without a doubt, having, the Isles beat the Penguins, the Jets beat the Oilers, Tampa Bay beating Florida. This is the one time I could get something right and predict it right. I had Minnesota going in 7. So please, just please
Okay, I
defeat
brought the whole
the
pen
Vegas
set.
Golden Knights. That's what I want. I want the Wild to beat the Vegas Golden Knights. I think this game is going to be a very close one. I think it's going to be 3-2. Pekka Rinne would not be an option. I think the best options that you could go after is Bernier, Merzlikins from Columbus if you wanted to do a trade, Gorgiev or Linus Ullmark. Those are your guys that you could really go after. That would be smart ideas for the Edmonton Oilers.
Uh,
But yeah, I'm gonna go 3-2
Vegas
Vegas.
versus
I think
Wild, and Peyton has 3-2
3-2
Vegas.
Wild.
3-2 Wild. You got or 3.
3-2 Wild. I need them to help me keep my bracket sort of alive.
Yeah. My bracket's looking not too bad, except for Florida. But besides that, it's not too bad.
Florida, New York, and Winnipeg has screwed me over.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
almost
right.
every single
Yeah, I didn't
division I've
have
had a
Winnipeg. That's
loss.
right. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's not looking so good after all. So you guys, Bill T is taking 4-2 Vegas. We'll do the other games as well. Why not? We'll do the weekend games while we're doing this.
We'll take a quick look at the Steel Flyers
Swerve is in the house. He
league
loves
as
to.
well.
He likes to freaking thrash on Vegas. He thinks it's a clown show with the golden heads. I like it. I think it's freaking awesome. Swerve 3-2
All
Wild
right,
in
so
overtime. Uh,
the Steel Flyers league there, ladies and gentlemen. Katahat is number 1 in the league, and also Avatar is number 2 with Off the Wall Hockey right behind him in third,
what's that?
with Mercer just falling right behind. In the Steel Flyers
Oh,
league,
okay.
we had another league, and looking over the bracket, me and Steel are at the bottom of the bracket challenge in the little league that we got going on right now.
Oh, okay. I didn't put one in there. I don't think so. Uh, I can't. Unfortunately, I don't have any chat, so I can't. Those anytime you swear or anything like that, Swerve, because my chat's not working, I can't show it. So you're gonna have to watch that if you want people to see it. But you said desert hockey team, give me a break. Oh, that is so not true. I love the fact that it's a desert hockey team. I love the fact the
That's so
league
good.
needs that more than anything in the world. They need the Arizonas, the Vegases, the Floridas, all of those. We need them
Hmm.
so much. If we're ever going to compete with basketball, which we're getting there, that contract we got is pretty huge. We're starting to get up into the big
It
time,
is.
man. Florida and
Hmm.
Edmonton cost you. Uh,
Same
I
here.
gotta put in.
Same here.
I'm gonna. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm gonna go the Wild.
We'll probably be wrong. We'll probably beat her on Monday saying that we were
5-3
wrong.
Wild. I'm gonna take the Wild. Just I think it'll be a huge win for Vegas if they win, of course. But I mean, especially with those guys being short manned, it's gonna take a lot of heart. You know, it's gonna take a lot of heart, and they've got heart in that lineup, so they could fight it through. But I just think Minnesota with if a team gets tired, I don't. It's pretty hard to beat Minnesota if you're tired at all.
Hmm. It
If
is.
Jake McCabe will
It
sign
is
with the
going to be
Leafs in
very
the
hard.
offseason, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake McCabe signed with the Leafs in the
No.
offseason.
There's probably going to be a decent amount of people after him, though. He has some really good, solid
Yeah, I like
analytics.
him.
He'd be a really solid defenseman for almost any team around the NHL, but that would be a really smart move for Toronto to go after Jake McCabe. Unless, I mean, what are you going to do with Travis Dermott and Rasmus Sandino? Like, what are you going to do with those guys? Because that's another left-handed guy out of Jake McCabe when you got some pretty young guys coming up the pipeline. I don't think Toronto might not even, they might only sign a right-handed guy. They'd probably let go of Bogosian and then bring in somebody to be a right-handed defenseman. Because who knows about Timothy Liljegren if he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, Liljegren, I don't know.
So,
He's on the fence whether he's ever going to be an NHL player. He really doesn't show well when he comes up, and so he may. I mean, when he was drafted, they were saying it was going to take him a long time. He was going to, so he may still make
hmm.
it. I'm not saying he won't, but there's a lot of teams. Winnipeg probably would be in there for a guy like McCabe. Yeah, anybody with anybody, New Jersey Devils maybe, just off the top of my head, but New York Rangers like those kind of guys. Talking about New York Rangers, just to go off a little bit, that Schneider that they moved up in draft for last year, he's getting over a point a game in junior this year, and he wasn't supposed to be an offensive defenseman.
Wow.
So they might have got another scary pick there. Jeez.
And he's a physical dude. He is one physical
Yes,
dude, honestly.
sir.
So
That
I think he's going to be a very
if he
intimidating guy.
boosts up his offense to go with that, you know what he kind of reminds me of is like a Kevin Bieksa or something like that. That would be amazing for the New York Rangers and just another piece that says that building a they could be building a dynasty there for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
No Jake Gardner back with the Leafs. I don't think you have to be worried about that too much. They weren't willing to give him a $4 million a year when he was there. Uh, so I doubt very much they're going to give it anything now since he went to
No.
Carolina and fell flat on his face pretty much. So Gardner is awful. I have
Hmm.
to. Yeah, he's regressed. He used to be a good possession guy, not bad. His Corsi numbers were all right, but that is all gone downhill ever since he went to Carolina too.
Man, that's weird. You know, I seen a tweet right now from Jay Fresh, who's the guy that gives me some really good analytics. He's like, you ever think about how Ilya Kovalchuk is supposed to have 4 years remaining at 6.7 million with the Devils right now?
Oh,
He'd still have that $6.7 million contract
yeah.
right now.
If he didn't quote quote
That's
retire,
insane.
that was a funky little move there.
That is
That was a
insane.
funky little move there, boy. They planned that
Oh,
all
it
out.
was.
Come over here. We'll give you the stupidest, longest contract. We'll try you for a couple of years and then move on to the KHL for way more than we just gave you and retire here. That's That's what they did. That's what they did. They knew they weren't going to be paying out that contract.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt, and then new rules came in after that contract. That contract actually made changes in the NHL, which is why Vancouver's having to pay Roberto Luongo, and same with Florida. The same reason why they're having to pay him, because he had like a 12-year contract or something like that. And that's even the same with Minnesota. If they were to hypothetically buy out Parise, or Parise were to retire, and same with Suter, I think they would have to deal with some cap recapture
Yeah,
penalties.
crazy, eh? That's that whole
Hmm.
that whole thing was a mess. They didn't really think that through when they were doing the. I guess they were focused so much on getting back and playing again that there was a lot of loopholes that they left open, and teams certainly took huge advantage of it. So now they're trying to tie it all up again.
Hmm.
Okay, so praise straight across for Nugent Hopkins. Who? Parise? What are you
Who?
talking about?
Are you
What are you
on
talking
crack?
about? Parise wouldn't be straight.
Uh,
You couldn't get a Zamboni tire for Parise right now. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he's doing that just to goad you a little bit. Yeah, there's no.
no, I don't care. You probably get like a coat
Yeah,
hanger for Parise. That's all he's worth
yeah,
right
that's
now.
about it. Yeah, I thought that would be a ha-ha after that. Okay, so let's look at the games for Saturday. Why not? Let's do it. Do games for Saturday.
Why not? Saturday, Toronto and the Canadiens. Game 6 with fans in the stands in
Yeah.
Montreal.
So,
Ooh, that's going to be a big one.
yeah, Canadians have put some question marks in our minds a little bit now after that happened, after what happened. But I just think that Toronto will tie up everything that they kind of. It's just human nature that you take a little bit of a breather too early. If Toronto plays the top of their game for 60 minutes, Montreal doesn't have a chance.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think this game has to be Leafs. They have to win this game. They can't be going on to a game 7 and then go up against a very, very healthy Winnipeg Jets who have had a lot of time to rest. They got to win this series now. So you could cut that rest down a little bit for the Jets, because the next game would be on Monday between the Leafs and the Canadiens. So, and then their next game would be right after that on Wednesday, and Winnipeg would already had a full week of break from playing any games. So I think that the Maple Leafs have to take it tonight. They got to. And Nylander has to play his best hockey. Matthews has to go out there and have a great game. Just that entire team really has to step up, and Jack Campbell has to play massive once again. I think the Leafs are gonna win this game. They have to. They have to play their best. And I think this one's gonna be 3-2. Actually, no. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 4-2 Leafs.
4-2 Leafs. I guess the big thing is Campbell's got to come back, play a super strong game here for sure. Um, Montreal's going to come out barreling with fans in there. You would think. So the first
Hmm.
period's probably going to say a lot. I could see it being a higher scoring first period. Uh, it's really hard to say here. Montreal could get back on their heels right away, and then try to end up playing like a defensive game, almost like Nashville did, in which case they'll lose. Then on the other hand, if you
Hmm.
try to run and gun with Toronto, you're in trouble too. So um, yeah, oh, I think the Leafs are going to win it, but I'm just more. I was more sure they were going to win last game. I really thought they were going to win last game. I was more sure on that game than I am on this one.
Oh yeah, I thought Toronto was gonna win last game too, and then they didn't, which surprised me a lot. I thought they were gonna win that game. Sorry, I was just plugging back in my computer for some reason. My outlet totally went out. Um, yeah, I thought they were gonna win too, but they just didn't. Even when they were coming back, they were coming back. They were ripping it apart, and then just I don't know. They fell apart. It was weird,
Yeah,
especially in that overtime. Galchenyuk with a horrible pass. it was a horrible pass from Galchenyuk. And also kind of a bad push by Bogosian too, because he stepped up, and then I think he was Sandin out there all by himself, and then he got outraced by both Caulfield and Suzuki without a doubt. So it was a rough one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not going to win every game. You're not going to win all the games. There's like probably, you know, in 10 games Montreal will win two, but you still win two. So that was one of the two. Let's like hope for
Yeah.
Toronto's sake. Tonight's not the second of those 10. Uh, Six Frenchmen in the stands is equal to a Florida regular season non-COVID crowd. um, Nylander, yeah, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. I have been backing Nylander since forever, like always, even after his contract where he had a little bit of a rough go coming back and saying like that. Toronto were slamming them, they wanted to trade him, all of that kind of stuff like that. And I was like, you're going to rue the day you trade Nylander. And here's the day where you're starting to see Nylander become what Nylander is. He is a fantastic winger in this league. I think he has a 90 to 100 point potential, and we're starting to see it now. That contract doesn't look so bad anymore. The question is what will it be? Of course, because it was a bit of a bridge. What's it going to be when it's over
Hmm.
with? But you don't hear anybody saying that now. Nobody's got their hand up saying, "Yeah, I wanted to trade Nylander."
No, I think even I think when I was talking about the Leafs a while back when I was a little bit younger and I was not as good as a hockey mind as I am now, even I thought the Nylander contract was dumb at the time, and I thought, they could have used that money to maybe build their depth a bit stronger and build up the team. I was even thinking about trading Nylander and going after a lot of depth pieces because I knew you could probably pick up a decent amount of depth for Liam Nylander. But now that contract looks like a steal for the
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's really been a good, strong player for them over the past little bit. This year, having an amazing season. Same with last year, having 31 goals. I mean, he's been a big playoff performer for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he's a big second line guy for that team and is someone that they're paying $6.9 million for the next 3 years after this one is an absolute steal of a deal.
Yeah, it is a steal of the idea. I understand what you're saying there. It did make some sense. After you give Marner, Tavares, you have so much front loaded on that top six to
Yeah.
go. I was saying at the time that, and not because I don't like him, because I do. I love, 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 love him. But if you're going to do something where you're going to get real depth in your lineup, if you've got Nylander at 6 or 7, I would have been looking at trading Marner. Not because I think Marner's bad or he's awesome, but the package you could get back for him if depth is what you're looking for would have been absolutely fantastic. Even at his price tag, there would have been lots of teams out there all over
Yeah.
Marner. And then you've got a cheap Nylander, right? So the package you could get back could fill a lot of holes. I think had him going to the Islanders for Tays and a whole bunch of players and first round picks and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, the team would look pretty good right now. But I mean, it's not because I thought Marner's a beast. He's fantastic. But the question is how, like you were
Hmm.
thinking at the time, how are they going to pay all these guys and fill out the rest of the roster, which is still a problem. Which is still a problem.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they're getting, I mean, some decent depth goal scoring, but the only guys that have been scoring goals from them from their depth has been Galchenyuk, but he's been playing up top, and then Spencer and Thornton. Spence has 2 goals, Thornton has 1 goal. The rest of the goals have been coming from Nylander, Matthews, 1 goal from Kerfoot. Kerfoot's actually been doing very very well. But he's been playing up with Nylander, I think, since John Tavares has been out with an injury. So he's playing alongside of a very, very hot player right now. Kerfoot doesn't have the greatest analytics either, but he's been doing fairly well for them in this playoff run. But that's really it. That's all you got for depth goal scoring, which you would probably want a little bit more from your team, especially looking at the Canadians who are having goals from Armia having goals from Byron, having goals from Kalk and Anami. I mean, yes, they're not scoring a ton, but at least they're seeing some goals from that depth, and they're not just seeing it from their main guys into Foley or Caulfield. I mean, Caulfield only been playing a couple games anyway since Ducharme didn't play him the first two, which I think was absolutely dumb. But anyways, the Leafs, they got to get some more depth, which, train away one of those guys will get you tons of depth, but that's the problem. Will it work with your team? And right now, it seems like that huge top six for Toronto seems to be
Yeah.
working.
In
So,
fairness, though, because of COVID, the cap doesn't go up. All of those sort of things like that made it more challenging. And I think their plan was to add as the cap went up, they were going to try to add more guys and stuff like that. I know they sat Tavares down when
yeah.
they grabbed him and showed him like the whole plan on how they're not going to have to trade guys away and all that kind of stuff like that. Uh, and obviously they sold him well on it. But and I still think that they convinced Tavares to hum and haw with the Islanders so they didn't have to send anything to get him. I do think that. It'll never come out, but I think it's
Hmm.
very likely that that happened. uh, yeah, are they still paying? They're still paying DiPietro on their cap, and the Islanders are. And we'll move on to that series here probably right away.
Hmm. Oh yeah, the Islanders and the Bruins. Yeah, I don't think DiPierre's still being paid, but it's not against the
It's
cap.
not.
Like he's being, no, it's not against the cap. It's just dead cap. It's not. It doesn't hurt them at all. But the Islanders have to pay him $1.5 million from, all the way to 2029. That's the last year they have to pay him.
Oh, okay. Wow.
15-year contract signed back in
Oh, you're making me
2006.
happy. Rasmus Dahlin to Edmonton. I know his D numbers don't look good, but if he got on a team where they actually know how to develop players, I think he could be a fantastic player. But depending on what their ask is.
We don't really need Erasmus Dahlin as the problem, though. I mean, not saying anything wrong about Dahlin, but he hasn't showed that defensive working yet, and I don't want another defenseman that can't play
I think
defense,
he.
especially since we got Nurse, who can play defense. We'd have to trade away Nurse, I
Yeah,
think,
I
if you
don't like
were to make
that.
that deal.
I
You
don't
have
like
to.
that. Yeah, if you got to trade away
With
Nurse.
Nurse's analytics, you can't play defense. You would have to trade
Yeah.
away Nurse if you were to pick up somebody like
Yeah,
a
but he's a
Dahlin.
money guy. I don't know. That'd be difficult. That would be a difficult trade for sure. I'm sure he would get a boatload still because there's still a lot of general managers out there that see the upside of what he was supposed to be, and that they could pull that out of him at least. Maybe not to the level that he should have been. He just was really unfortunate to have to go to Buffalo, where they have a poor development system there and poor energy, poor culture, everything like that that he had to go through, which hurt his development
Hmm.
quite a bit. Uh,
Oh yeah.
um, so, anyways, now we'll go to the Islanders and the Boston Bruins series. Game. We'll go to the game. We can talk about the series if you want, whatever. There's no rules here. Uh, but first game in Boston uh,
Hmm.
should be a. I'm immediately. I'm just going to keep on. I'm going to go with the Bruins right away. I just Bruins at home with
Oh, Bruins
fans,
have heavy
all that stuff
favorites.
like that, with fans. Um, yeah, I got to go with.
Bruins are heavy favorites in this series to win. They're very heavy. Oh, excuse me. They're very heavy favorites to win this series, and without a doubt, they have an amazing core this year, especially with Taylor Hall being along with them, and he's been doing great. But I gotta give this one to the or the to the Bruins. I just believe the Bruins are going to be a better team than the Islanders. Pittsburgh outplayed them in that last game. And Pittsburgh did play pretty well against the Islanders, just weren't able to finish off the season. And Sorokin was that big deal for them. But now the Islanders are going to have to go up against Tuukka Rask. And Tuukka Rask is going to be a pretty tough guy to go up against. Sorokin is going to be pretty damn good, but when you're also facing off against Rask, it is going to be a tough series for either or. I believe the Bruins are going to win the series, But I think for game one, I think I'm gonna give it to the Islanders. I'm gonna give game one to the Islanders. I think it's gonna
Really?
be yeah, I would think it's gonna be 2-1 Islanders for game one between that team. I think the Islanders are gonna pull away with game one. Just have that gut feeling like they'll probably be able to pull away. Sorokin will probably play insane, but then Rask will sooner or later step up throughout the series is what I'm kind of thinking will
If Rock
happen.
is healthy, it won't matter. He's not going to play. Yeah. He's saying is Halak back healthy? He's not going to play. It's going to be Swayman.
No,
If
no,
for
he
some
won't
reason
play.
Rask goes down or whatever, it'll be Swayman for sure.
Mm.
I would. Yeah, somebody said Sorokin steals the series. That's what's going to happen if the Islanders win. Sorokin has the talent
Oh yeah.
and the ability to steal a series. It's just that's the scary part. If he seems to be getting it together in North America here, and like I said, his numbers were absolutely insane in the KHL. He could possibly just go off and 2-1 Bruins. The problem I have the same problem you have. The Islanders were not really. I mean, they did against Pittsburgh, but that was jarring. Like before
Yeah.
they were scoring against Jari, they weren't really scoring all that much, and they were having trouble scoring. Now maybe Jari's built their confidence up a little bit, and they'll be a little better. But Rask can kill your confidence really quick. Uh, not against the perfection line.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. And what do they have to combat the perfection line except for that team system that they have? And it's one of the smartest lines in the league. They're great, but they're so intelligent, all of them.
Hmm.
Bergeron is extremely intelligent player. So is Marchand. They know what to do against their opponents, and they pick away at them and figure them out and find a way. And Boston just does that. When's the last time these two have played? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Boston and Islanders in the
Yeah.
playoffs, or oh man, actually, yeah, I'll just quickly research it, but I don't remember the last time the Islanders and them faced in the playoffs.
I would love to see Reinhardt in Edmonton. I just don't think it could ever happen.
Oh, it would be amazing, but yeah, like you said, it's gonna be pretty hard to have something like that happen. Playoffs. The last time they had a playoff series, I think, was way back in
That's what I thought.
1983 was the last time they faced each other in the conference finals, which the Islanders won in the conference finals. That was the last time that they faced against each other in the playoffs, and that series was in 6 games.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was quite a long time since they played.
They've only faced 2 times, and the Islanders have won both of them in the playoffs. But that was during the time when the Islanders were, I mean, a beast of a team with Trottier and Bossy and stuff like that. So they were a pretty built up team back in the 80s.
Yeah. So there's not much to go on there
Well, mostly in the 70s, but
about what Boston is going to do against the Islanders type system here because they haven't gone against it in the playoffs. But Boston found a way to beat systems lots. I just on manpower to manpower, Boston to me takes this series, and I think it's going to be fairly
yeah,
simple, fairly easy. I'm going to take the Bruins to win Game One right out of the get go. I'm going to say 3-1 Bruins. I think it might take a while for them to get
3-1.
Sorokin. Again, it's just all about Sorokin, really. They
Yeah. If he gets going, then I mean that'll be a game changer. If he can, I mean that's the same thing with Tuukka Rask. I guess if Tuukka Rask starts buzzing as well, I mean he could totally block out the Owls as well. I mean it could go
Yeah,
either
there could
way.
be a lot of ties with those two goaltenders too. Yeah, if either one of them, if both of them go off, it'll be one heck of a series to watch. It,
Oh yeah,
if
without a doubt.
Rask is on the top of the game and Sorokin is doing what it looks like he can do, I still say Boston will win it because they just have more tools to be able to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be
Yeah.
exciting for sure. It'll be one of those exciting low scoring type series. When was the last time the Bruins were
Hmm.
playing? Oh no, I was just asking when the Bruins and Islanders played in a playoff series last, and it was quite a long time ago. I really couldn't recollect them playing for a very long time. Which makes sense because they weren't in the same division and the Islanders were bad for a long time. They just started getting good recently, so and Boston was when they were kind of not getting up to the. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to move on to the
Sure,
Sunday's
why not?
games? I guess there's only one, but the Lightning and Hurricanes game one, and then I think Colorado will also be playing on Sunday since the game 7 will be finishing, but we won't know who will be playing. It'll either be Minnesota or Vegas going up against Colorado. But Tampa Bay, Carolina, this should be a fun series. Oh my lord, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know.
Oh, I
I don't
guess
know.
you don't know because you love. I guess because you were
Yeah,
hating
I
on
think that's really
Lightning most of
why.
the
I think it's
season.
really why. My gut says that Tampa's going to win it, and I hate that.
Yeah, that's what my gut is saying too. I hate that as well. I want Carolina to go far this year, but Tampa Bay, man. Tampa Bay. They got depth scoring, they got everything. Kucherov, 11 points in 6 games. I mean, Stamkos is lighting it up. Points been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this team has just been insane. I think if you were a betting man, you would have to go after Tampa, but then you could also look at the Hurricanes and be like, oh, well, they got Sebastian Aho, who's been doing
Mm-hmm.
great, you know? They got Natchez, who's been looking pretty solid as
Yeah, that
well.
wraparound was
They've
excellent.
had some pretty good. They've been having some buzzing players. It's just they were shut down by UC Saros.
Yeah,
But how well will they go up against Vasilevsky, who is a 10 times better goalie, and now they have to rely on Nedeljkovic as well. It's going to be a tough series. I think the Hurricanes got to bring it to them right off the get go and just play their hardest game to be able to win that series. Because if they don't, Tampa Bay will easily take that one, and I think they will. I think it's going to be a hard fought series. I think it'll be 6, 7 games between these two teams, but I have that feeling like Tampa Bay will be able to take it. And I think for game one, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be, I think 5-4 Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be high scoring to start things off.
oh yeah. It could go
Yeah.
either way on both accounts. Like it could be high scoring games, low scoring games. Nedeljkovic gets settled in, and Vasilevsky can stop everything. How's Carolina going to go against Tampa? What's going to be their game plan? They don't want to be running and gunning with them. Uh, they've got to
Hmm.
clog up that neutral zone and not give it and give. I think they have to force them into dumping and chasing as much as possible because you give guys like. But how healthy is Kucherov? That's the other thing. How healthy are these guys? Hedman's been injured. Kucherov's been injured. Now, when it came right down to it against Florida, it didn't seem to matter. But Carolina's a different thing
Hmm.
altogether here. This team is stacked. The only thing I would say about Carolina is they don't have uh, much playoff experience still yet. There's not many guys in that lineup that has playoff
No.
experience, and of course Tampa Bay's won a cup, so they've got a lot of playoff. They've got a lot more playoff experience. But then when Tampa Bay won the cup, they didn't really have that much playoff experience. But I think they had more than what? Who has won a cup in Carolina? Has anybody won a cup in Carolina?
No. Jordan. No. Jordan Stahl
Oh
did with
yes, Jordan
Pittsburgh.
Stahl with Pittsburgh did. That's
Um,
right.
Hamilton with
No,
Boston,
no, no,
didn't
no.
he? No. 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 That was Sagan. That was Sagan. Slavin, Shea, Pesci, no. Gardner, no. Trocheck, no. Teravainen with Chicago.
Was
Teravainen
he
with
with
Chicago.
Chicago when they won the cup that year?
I
I
think.
don't know. That's quite a little ways ago.
Let me
I don't
just
think
double
he was
check.
there. I think he
It
was
was
with
quite a
Terra.
ways ago.
Maybe he did. That's a good one. I never even thought about that. So he
Yep,
did
he
what
he
he got
was
one.
there.
He
He
got
was
one
there.
cup there.
Uh, because they won in 2015, right? They won
Right.
in 2015. Yeah, yeah.
So
So he has a
that's the
cup.
pretty much the two.
That's two guys, Teravainen and I mean they got some playoff experience there. I guess you could say they got the experience to do it. They just gotta pull their way through it. And plus they got Rob Brendamore. I mean, who is a better coach can you have than Rob Brendamour? Did you see the video of all the guys singing happy
Oh
birthday to
yeah,
Rob Brendamour's
yeah,
dad after the game?
yeah.
That's great. That was awesome to see from all the guys there. And that's why I think Carolina is such a good story. And that's why they got to beat Tampa Bay. I would love to see that torch being passed from, from Tampa Bay over to Carolina to be the next Stanley Cup champions because I would love to see the Canes do it once again, especially with the team that they have.
They got a question. What would Edmonton have to give to get Reinhardt? And he's a
Oh,
restricted,
that'd
right?
be
Or is he?
tough. I think he still has some I think he has a contract. Yeah, he signed for 1 more year. Oh no, he's a free agent this year. Yeah, he's an RFA. Yeah, he'd be an RFA. That'd be a tough one because Sam Reinhart had a good season. He almost had 30 goals this season, and he was a
That
pretty
was
good
playing
producer.
his
See,
best games were at center too.
yeah, so I don't know. You probably have to give up a
Well,
first round
biggest.
pick, which Holland most likely
I don't know
wouldn't
about
do,
that.
and then you would probably have to give up. You would probably have to give up like Lavoy or some of your other like kind of your B C tier prospects. You'd have to give up. I just don't see them going after Sam Reinhart. It'd most likely be a free agent like a Tatar or a Hyman or a Blake Coleman that drops into free agency. I could see those guys, but probably not a Sam Reinhart unless we were to like give him a
I think
qualifying
you'd have to
offer,
get. I
which wouldn't
think
be a
you'd have
bad
to give him
idea.
much. Yeah, qualifying offer. Yeah, but I think they'll match pretty much anything. I think you'd have to give up much more than that. I don't think a first Savoy and stuff like that's going to do it. There's going to be too many people lining up for Reinhardt services. I don't think we have enough to get him. Like if we what we needed to get him would leave us so thin, prospect wise and everything that
Just do
Nurse
Nurse
for
for
Reinhardt.
Reinhardt.
There you go.
There we go. And then pick up Dougie
Yes, there we
Hamilton
go.
and be like,
Done.
yo, Sam Reinhart. Yo, Sam Reinhart. Be like, all right, dude, I think we could win a cup this year if you just take $1 million this year. And
Yeah,
that's it. Just a
yeah. I
million.
don't think that's gonna happen. But Nurse for Reinhardt and Nurse's father is he's from Buffalo, I believe. So
Yep.
he may actually go there for that reason. I would do Nurse for Reinhardt. I would do it. Let's do it, and then sign,
Nurse for
Dougie
Ehlers.
Hamilton. Yeah.
Remember when people were talking about Nurse and Ehlers? And now that trade would have
Oh
looked like a
yeah, yeah,
steal
yeah.
years afterwards if that deal was ever made. If Nurse for Ehlers
Just
was made, my
imagine Ehlers and
lord, would I
McDavid
have
on the
to
same
laugh?
line. Oh my god.
Woo! Woo!
Oh,
Wee! Wee!
that
That
would
would
be
be sick.
stupid, dude. Holy crap.
One of the best wingers in the NHL is
Absolutely.
Nikolai Ehlers this year. He was amazing, and if he was on that top line, oh my lord! Just think of Draisaitl, McDavid,
You wouldn't need a
Ehlers.
rest. Well, you wouldn't even the rest. The only reason why you need the rest of your team is because they can't play the full game. But
Yeah,
they would be scoring like 6 points a night. That would be just stupid, man. He can
oh, it would be
actually keep
stupid.
up with McDavid speed wise. Like, just imagine that power play.
Oh my lord! And actually, especially having Nikolai Ehlers at or Draisaitl at that 1T position. You could like swap them. Like if Draisaitl's being covered hard, you could just rotate them all, get Ehlers in that one time position. Oh man, you as a power play guy, I would hate to try to kill off one of those power plays. You'd be looking at McDavid, he'd be on the puck, and you're like, oh god, there's McDavid, and then he passes it over to Draisaitl, but oh no, here's Draisaitl. Like every player you would have to be scared of if that was the
Yeah,
power play
that'd
for
be
the Oilers. But
unbelievable.
oh my lord, that'd
Just
be
said the Canes
unbelievable.
can beat Tampa. Yes, I do believe the Canes can beat Tampa. No doubt about it. It's going to take a full system play, though. They're going to have to play the Brindamore system to a T to beat them. It's going
Oh
to
yeah.
be a grind. If they do win, I imagine it'll go to 7. Like, it's going to be a grind.
Oh, I imagine it being 6 to 7 games. I imagine it being.
Oh yeah, 6 or 7. I think Carolina will definitely win at least 2. Um, no doubt about that. The question mark will be if Nedeljkovic can match with Vasilevsky. Seriously.
Yeah, that is a big part of that, and also Nedeljkovic and how well he'll do going into the second round, especially going up against Tampa Bay, now facing some really good goal scorers as well. Right, you're going up against Kucherov and Stamkos and all those guys, so it's going to be a
Yeah.
pretty tough series,
Yeah.
I think, for
Hopefully
both teams.
Slavin is
When
100%.
Nedeljkovic plays huge, oh, that too. They need Slavin. They need Slavin to be back in the lineup and be ready to go. Because if you don't have
No,
him, then I don't know.
there's no way.
It's gonna be
There's no
tough to
way
beat
they
that
beat Tampa
team.
Bay without Slavin in the lineup. Absolutely no way. But
He's so great defensively. You need him. You definitely need him in the lineup.
yeah, the workers in healthcare. Yeah, I love the way Carolina does that. The surge and they do all that. And like I said, Brendan Moore has
Oh, I
the
love that.
energy for that team. Always on point. They play hard for each other. I love them. I love they're my second favorite team in the East. I love the team.
I got the jersey
Yeah,
back there. The
yeah,
old
they're my
jersey.
second favorite team in the East, and I definitely I'm rooting for them 100% in this series, no doubt about it, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I think Tampa Bay this year is like the big bad villains this year. Everyone's looking at them as the villains of the NHL just because like they have like $100 million in cap space and they're looking to go back to back and everyone's just hating on them. But I give respect to Tampa Bay. They play a hella good game for the amount of people that are talking mad crap about them this year, and wanting other teams to beat them. I think Tampa Bay could potentially go back to back this year with how well they played against Florida. We'll see how well they do against Carolina, but honestly, they could go back to
it's
back.
asking a lot for a team to do that in a year like this, but you never know. I mean, it's I think it's going to be a little different when they get into the. I don't know because let's say Tampa Bay does win it, they have to play the North, right? Or no, it depends. It goes by
No, no, it just
right,
goes by
right,
his
points.
points. So
So
whoever makes
they're
the
one of the lowest that would
yeah,
be coming out because they had to play Florida. So
they were where are they at? Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. They are eighth. So, for example, if Colorado made it in, and then also, well, no, they're second. They're second right now. Right, like Carolina, so it would be Colorado, Carolina, Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay would be second, so they'd be facing the third seed. So it would either be Boston or the
oh,
Islanders if one of those teams were to win. Or it could also be Minnesota if they were to hypothetically beat Colorado. They would be going up against Minnesota. But it might be either Boston or New York from
Bill
what it
T,
looks like.
Jack Eichel going to the Bruins. Funny you say that. I just did a whole bunch of videos on Jack Eichel getting traded to every team. You can go check out what I think about the possibility of him going to the Bruins. I don't. I think. Well, we'll talk about that real quick. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, those two teams. I think it's going to be really tough to beat a Boston team. That especially if they dispose of the
Hmm.
Islanders really quick, they're going to be very rested, and I think that Tampa Bay might start pooching out at that time, but it's hard to say. But Eichel going to the Bruins, I just don't see them trading McAvoy, and that would have to be part of the deal.
Oh yeah, it would have to be. It would have to be absolutely McAvoy or someone else. I mean, they don't got any big tier prospects unless you want to trade away like 10 years of first round picks
Yeah,
for Jack Eichel. But it would have to be McAvoy or
yeah,
Pasternak.
and yeah, I don't see either of those things happening there. Uh, Niederreiter will do the invisible act. Okay, we'll see. He's been pretty good. Brendan Moore really did get Niederreiter playing as well as I've seen him play in his career this year.
He's been playing pretty well this year, especially his two-way game has been pretty solid for Neo Niederreiter this year. I've been honestly enjoying his game. In the playoffs, he hasn't been looking terrible, but you just got to hope that he does keep on producing for you because analytically, he's been doing really well this year, especially defensively. He's really been buying into Brendan Moore's system. His confidence problem. I mean, his analytics doesn't look like he has confidence problems. He looks like he's playing amazing right now, especially his defensive play. He's been playing amazing defensively for the the Hurricanes, and especially playing at that third line spot where I think Niederreiter's playing. It's
His
perfect
analytics
for
have
him.
always been good, but confidence has been an issue in the past with him and consistency. But I just think, like I said, he's probably been the best I've ever seen him this year. Uh, yeah, when he
Oh yeah,
first
he's
came
been
in, he
playing really good
scored
with
a lot
our
of goals, and
Hurricanes this
then
year.
yeah, like you said, he's had his consistency issues where he's streaky is the word I'm looking for. He has been a streaky scorer. But the thing about him is when he's not scoring, he still does lots of other things.
No, I don't think Jack Eichel probably won't reunite with Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall will probably be in free agency. I would love to see him come to the Oilers, but yeah, we'll have to maybe make some videos about Taylor Hall or something where he'll be going if he does go into free
Yeah, for sure.
agency.
Yeah, I think he's going to resign in Boston. I don't I think I'm going to lean here that he realizes the money isn't everything, and when you play with a team where you don't have to be the guy, it's kind of fun. You know, you can just go out there and play, drop your thing to $5 million or something like that, 5 or 6 million, and for a couple of years, and stay with an organization.
But that's the problem. That's the problem. Taylor Hall really hasn't brought in the dough, but for that 1 year this year where he made $8 million, the rest he was making about $6 million, which is not terrible. But he's an MVP. He's a guy that's produced a lot. I think he most likely will be looking to get that money. I don't know. I don't know where he'll sign. I think Boston would be a great opportunity for him, but I don't know if they'll
No,
be able to afford
if
him
he's
there.
still looking
All
for the
right, like
seven,
the amount of money that they
if
got
he's
coming
still
back
looking
this
for the
year,
7 or 8 million, he won't be going to Boston for sure. Okay.
because they got to sign Carlo, they got to get maybe another defenseman back, and then they're also losing Kasha off the books and Richie, and that's really it that you got coming off the books going into next season. So I think it's almost near impossible to get Taylor Hall back on the team.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's impossible, but
I
he's
think
going to
he'd
have to
be
take
a
less
free
to do
agent this
it,
year.
for sure, no doubt about it. I'd have to really look at it, and we will really look at it. We'll do a series on Taylor Hall, where he might go or whatever. Off the top of my head, teams that have cap room that would go for scoring or something of that nature, like Anaheim maybe, if they're really thinking of not, or sorry,
I don't think Anaheim would be ready.
LA. If they're really thinking of ending their rebuild now, and they're going to do what the veterans are wanting and start, they need a guy like that. They could really use a guy like that. So
Hmm.
LA would be one, just off the top of my head. They could probably sell him on the fact that the rebuild's over. You get to play with Kopitar. You don't have to be the guy because they've got a lot of guys there that are still veterans and stuff like that. So that would be off the
Hmm.
top of my head a player, a place that he could go.
Ooh, also, I guess Krejci, or no, yeah, is Krejci? Krejci is coming off the books this year too, so they might actually. Am I correct on
Yeah,
that?
well, I think they're gonna
I think
re-sign
Krejci
him.
is
They're gonna
coming off the
re-sign him,
books
but
this year.
probably for a lot less.
But you get him
That's
way cheaper than
that's right.
7.250. Without a doubt. Well, he's also 35 years old. Do you think they would go after maybe
No,
somebody
I think they
younger?
love Krejci, and I think that's why I'm saying that Hall could stay there. He's found a lot of chemistry with him. He could take less. Krejci could take
Hmm.
less to keep Hull, help have Hull on their lineup. And if they both do that, then
Go with Swayman. Go with Swayman as their starting goalie, or maybe try to get Rass at a cheaper contract. I mean, they have $26 million in cap space without signing anyone right now, like Carlo and Rask and Krejci and Hall. So we'll have to see what they do, but they could possibly do it. I mean, I could see it coming.
yeah. Well, next year if Rask retires, you have Swayman. I don't know if you want to go number one, but you just have to find a veteran goaltender that can spell them really well. I mean, we need that. They're not as easy to find as we think, obviously. So, anyways, that is our full 42. We did all the picks for the weekend. I hope you guys enjoy the games for the weekend. Come back here Monday. Bring all your friends. We're gonna have good times, man. There's gonna be lots of frolic. How about you? What's your schedule looking like coming up?
I got some new NHL 21 videos going to be coming out this weekend, and some other new Oilers videos that should be coming out later on this week. I want to do a tier list, ranking all the Oilers players this year, seeing who's in F tier and seeing who's in A tier, and so on and so forth. So that should be a fun little video to make
Cool.
this
Yeah,
weekend.
Seattle. There's a depending on what way Seattle wants to go. I don't know about that, but I did a video on that as well, Swerve, about Eichel and his $10 million contract. As far as I know, the surgery or whatever, he'll be back to completely fine by the time he comes back from whatever he's been fighting. That's as far as I know. And if he is, you can watch the video and it tells you. I'll just tell you that because I got to get going. That's my full 42. Check out Payton's channel, man. Check out his live streams. We got to do a live stream again sometime here soon. Now we haven't did that in a while, but it's difficult with where you are right
I
now.
know. Well, yeah, my internet probably won't work, but I could probably do one with you on here on your Pearlo channel. We could do like a live stream for a
Yes,
playoff game or something. We'll
we
have to
will
set
do
something
that.
up.
And of course, you can catch Off the Wall all weekend. He'll probably be doing live streams like 24/7
Mm-hmm.
because that's what he does. And I can't wait to see you guys again Monday, 3 to 5. Have a great day, everybody. Kate, bye.